Deepfake content is AI-generated images and audio that is created to impersonate a real-life person or situation. In 2023, an estimated 98% of deepfake videos online were pornographic, 99% featured women. The New South Wales Coalition plans to present a bill to Parliament criminalising the production or distribution of sexually explicit deepfakes. And joining us live is Felicity Wilson, the New South Wales Shadow Minister for Women, who's put together this bill. So talk us through it. Good morning.
Good morning, Jaynie. Thank you so much. Now, as you know, every single day we're seeing AI opportunities and challenges. We're talking about it. But when we get to the point where there's real harm, we need to stop talking and start taking action. And so that's why we, as Liberals and Nationals in New South Wales, have drafted legislation in order to put serious criminal penalties against the use and distribution of sexually explicit deepfakes.
Because if we look back to legislation that was passed in 2017, that didn't include AI, did it?
No, it didn't. Obviously, 2017, back in the Berejiklian government, we passed these intimate images legislation, and it was actually the now opposition leader, Mark Speakman, as Attorney General, that led those reforms. But it was before the time that we saw these technological advances, and the state hasn't kept pace with that change. And we don't think that we can wait for the government to get around to doing it. We want them to support this legislation, but we need to take action now.
And how much accountability do tech companies have?
Well, I think we're seeing a huge push towards increased accountability for tech companies, and the federal government's put in a range of different legislation to push that. And there's definitely a role to play for technology providers to ensure that we're getting best outcomes for kids and women. But this legislation is really about criminal impacts for perpetrators.
And are we seeing a rise in misogyny?
That's a really interesting question and a big challenge we've got to put out there, because when it's 99% women's content, when we're seeing boys in schools putting together, nudified images of their female classmates, what does that say about attitudes towards women, towards women's bodily autonomy, respect to women, and the agency that you have over your own image and the depiction of that image? And I think it's a big part of this conversation, because criminal imposts are only one part of this. It's about society looking at whether or not we have the right level of respect and dignity for people and their bodily autonomy, particularly women in these circumstances. So we want to start that conversation and make sure we get that change that we need to see.
Are you satisfied seeing the amount of education there is in schools, or do we need more?
We've had a huge improvement, particularly with the introduction of consent education in recent years across New South Wales. And we can't put too much pressure on our teachers. I mean, our teachers are often victims of this deepfake pornography as well. But we do need to make sure that we're educating all children, but also parents as well. We need to. I'm a mum. I'm concerned about my children when they one day become teenagers in particular. Well, how are we empowering parents to actually understand how to engage in this technology, how to monitor it, but how to empower kids to utilise technology well, but also make really good decisions about how they use that technology?
And as we know, it's moving through at great speeds. And we heard this week, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio had some deepfake scams and stuff. So it's very, very easy, getting a lot easier as well. So it's just going at leaps and bounds, and really, again, those companies have to be accounted.
Yes, and politics doesn't always keep pace with technology or with society, but we need to do our best to keep up with it, and that's what this bill will endeavour to do.
What's the feedback been like?
Oh, we're getting great feedback from across service providers, from across community organisations and individuals across community. And now we just need to get the rest of the Parliament on board. So it's the crossbench and obviously the government. So we'll be asking them to support this bill when we introduce it in coming weeks.
Okay, I was going to say rough timeline, so a couple of weeks.
Yeah, next sitting week we'll introduce the bill to the Parliament, and hopefully we'll get the support of the entire Parliament for this legislation.
All right, Felicity, thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you.
And if this story has raised any concerns for you, you can contact the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Helpline on 1800